Around the year 1455, a small crowd gathered outside a modest workshop in the German city of Mainz. Rumors had spread that a goldsmith named Johannes Gutenberg had built a machine capable of producing books without the help of scribes. Few believed the claim. For centuries, every important book in Europe had been copied by hand, one page at a time, by skilled monks and scribes. Books were rare, expensive, and so valuable that many were chained inside libraries to prevent theft. Then Gutenberg revealed the first printed pages. They looked ordinary black ink, arranged neatly across clean white sheets. Yet those simple pages would help change the course of history. Within only a few decades, books became more affordable. Universities expanded, literacy increased, and ideas spread across Europe faster than ever before. Historians often credit the printing press with helping to launch the Renaissance, the Protestant Reformation, and the Scientific Revolution. But there is one question the story rarely asks. Gutenberg invented the press, but he did not invent the material that made the press possible. Every page that carried scientific discoveries, political ideas, religious debates, and literary masterpieces depended upon another invention: paper. Today we write notes on it, print photographs, wrap gifts, sign contracts, and often throw it away without a second thought. Yet behind every ordinary sheet lies a story that stretches across thousands of years. Long before paper existed, every civilization faced the same challenge. Knowledge could not survive unless it could be preserved. Kings needed written laws, merchants recorded trade, priests preserved sacred teachings, and rulers sent orders across growing kingdoms. As societies expanded, memory alone was no longer enough. The first great solution appeared in ancient Mesopotamia more than 5,000 years ago. Scribes pressed wedge-shaped symbols into soft clay using reed styluses before drying the tablets beneath the sun. Those tablets preserved tax records, business contracts, royal decrees, and epic poems, and many still survive today. But clay had one serious weakness: it was heavy. As kingdoms expanded, transporting information became almost as difficult as recording it. Far to the southwest, another civilization found a better answer. Along the banks of the Nile River, Egyptian craftsmen transformed the papyrus plant into light, flexible writing sheets. Papyrus carried royal decrees, religious texts, business records, and literature across Egypt before spreading throughout the Mediterranean. Greek scholars wrote upon it. Roman officials governed their empire with it. For centuries, papyrus became the writing material of the ancient world. Yet papyrus was not the perfect solution. It depended almost entirely on a single plant that grew along the Nile, making it expensive beyond Egypt. As populations increased and governments became more complex, demand for writing material continued to grow. Once again, civilization needed something better. Thousands of kilometers away, China's Han Dynasty faced the same problem. Millions of people lived under imperial rule, and every tax payment, census, military order, legal judgment, and imperial decree had to be recorded. Officials relied on bamboo slips tied together with leather cords. They were durable but painfully heavy. Silk offered a better writing surface, but it was too valuable for everyday administration. Among the officials serving the imperial court was a man named Kai Lun. He was not an emperor, a famous general, or a celebrated philosopher. He was a court official who saw the growing burden of managing information every day. While others accepted the problem, Kai Lun began searching for a different solution, one that would eventually transform the history of human civilization. Around the year 105 AD, inside the imperial court of China's Han Dynasty, Kai Lun presented an invention that seemed remarkably simple. According to historical records, he combined worn-out fishing nets, tree bark, hemp fibers, old cloth, and discarded rags into a soft pulp, mixed it with water, lifted the mixture through a fine bamboo screen, and allowed it to dry into a thin, smooth sheet. The process itself was not entirely new. Similar experiments may have existed before him. But Kai Lun refined the technique into something practical reliable, and inexpensive enough to be used throughout an empire. The difference was extraordinary. Unlike bamboo slips, the new material was light enough to carry in large quantities. Unlike silk, it was affordable enough for everyday use. It accepted ink beautifully, could be stacked, folded, rolled, and transported with ease. For the first time, writing no longer depended upon materials that were either too heavy or too expensive. China had found the writing surface it had been searching for. The imperial government quickly recognized its value. Officials copied laws more efficiently. Administrators organized records with greater ease. Scholars preserved classical literature, and teachers produced educational texts for new generations of students. As the centuries passed, paper became woven into nearly every part of Chinese society. It was used not only for books and official documents, but also for paintings, calendars, fans, kites, lanterns, and even the world's earliest paper money. Few inventions proved so remarkably versatile. For centuries, however, the secret of papermaking remained largely within China. Skilled craftsmen guarded their methods carefully, and the empire had little reason to share one of its greatest technological advantages with the outside world. While merchants carried silk, porcelain, and tea across Asia, the knowledge of making paper traveled much more slowly. Then history took an unexpected turn. In the year 751, two great powers met near the Talas River in Central Asia. On one side stood the armies of the Tang dynasty. On the other were the forces of the Abbasid Caliphate. Historians still debate the battle's long-term military importance, but many believe it changed history for another reason. Among the Chinese prisoners captured after the battle were skilled craftsmen, including men familiar with the art of papermaking. Whether the story is entirely accurate or partly legendary, one fact is beyond dispute. Within the following decades, paper production appeared in the Islamic world. The city of Samarkand became one of the earliest great centers of papermaking outside China. From there, the knowledge spread to Baghdad, Damascus, Cairo, and other great cities of the Islamic Golden Age. The timing could not have been better. The Abbasid Caliphate was entering one of the greatest intellectual periods in history. Scholars translated Greek philosophy, Persian science, Indian mathematics, and Roman medicine into Arabic. Libraries expanded rapidly, universities flourished, and books became far more common than they had ever been before. Paper made this explosion of knowledge possible by providing a writing material that was both practical and affordable. Muslim craftsmen continued improving the process. Water-powered mills increased production, better preparation techniques produced smoother sheets, and papermaking gradually developed into a thriving industry. Merchants carried not only finished paper, but also the knowledge of how to manufacture it. Slowly, almost quietly, the invention began moving westward. By the 12th century, paper had reached parts of Europe through Islamic Spain and Sicily. At first, many Europeans viewed it with suspicion. Official documents were still written on parchment made from animal skins, and some believed paper was too fragile for important records. Yet merchants quickly recognized its advantages. It cost far less than parchment, could be produced in much larger quantities, and was perfectly suited for the growing demands of trade. Paper mills soon appeared across Italy, France, and Germany. Using water-powered machinery, craftsmen transformed old linen and cotton rags into thousands of fresh sheets each year. Europe was slowly embracing a material that had traveled thousands of kilometers and passed through countless civilizations. Few people realized that this quiet revolution was preparing the continent for another invention, one that would soon multiply every page faster than the world had ever imagined. By the middle of the 15th century, the German city of Mainz was unlike any other place in Europe. Inside a modest workshop, surrounded by wooden presses, metal type, jars of thick black ink, and stacks of handmade paper, Johannes Gutenberg was perfecting a machine that would transform the spread of knowledge forever. His goal was not simply to build a better press. He wanted to solve one of humanity's oldest problems: how to reproduce information quickly, accurately, and on a scale never before imagined. For centuries, every book had been copied by hand. Even the most skilled scribe required months, sometimes years, to produce a single manuscript. Gutenberg's movable metal type changed everything. Once a page had been arranged, hundreds of identical copies could be printed in the time it once took a scribe to write only a few pages. But the printing press had one essential partner. Without affordable paper, mass printing would have remained impossible. The results were almost immediate. Printing houses appeared across Germany, Italy, France, England, and the Low Countries. Books that had once belonged only to monasteries and wealthy nobles gradually became available to merchants, students, lawyers, physicians, and ordinary families. Literacy increased, universities expanded, and knowledge began moving across Europe with a speed the world had never witnessed before. The effects reached far beyond education. In 1517, Martin Luther published his 95 Theses, challenging the authority of the Catholic Church. Earlier reformers had struggled to spread their ideas beyond local communities, but Luther lived in the age of paper and print. Printers reproduced his writings by the thousands, allowing his message to travel across Europe within months and helping to ignite the Protestant Reformation. The same transformation reshaped science. The discoveries of Nicolaus Copernicus, Galileo Galilei, Johannes Kepler, and later Isaac Newton could now be printed, distributed, and studied by scholars separated by hundreds of kilometers. Scientists no longer worked in isolation. They could build upon one another's discoveries, correct mistakes, repeat experiments, and expand humanity's understanding of the universe at a pace never before possible. As Europe entered the Industrial Revolution, paper itself changed once again. For centuries, it had been made largely by hand from linen and cotton rags. During the 19th century, mechanized paper mills and the use of wood pulp dramatically increased production while reducing costs. Newspapers reached millions of readers each morning. Inexpensive books filled public libraries, schools educated growing populations, and businesses managed increasingly complex economies through written records. Paper had become one of the foundations of modern civilization. Today, we often imagine we have entered a paperless world. We send emails instead of letters, store photographs in digital clouds, read books on electronic screens, and sign documents with a touch of a finger. Yet paper remains remarkably present. Governments preserve constitutions on it. Artists continue creating on it. Students still learn from it. Museums protect centuries of human history upon it. Even in the digital age, some of our most valuable knowledge continues to rely on the invention first refined nearly 2,000 years ago. It is easy to overlook because it has become so ordinary. A blank sheet of paper seems almost insignificant compared with a steam engine, an airplane, or a computer. Yet few inventions have shaped human civilization more profoundly. The wheel allowed people to travel farther. The compass guided explorers across oceans. The printing press multiplied ideas. But paper gave those ideas a place to live. Every scientific breakthrough, every great novel, every constitution, every map, every sketch, every classroom notebook, every letter written between loved ones, each began with something remarkably simple: a single blank sheet. Paper did not conquer kingdoms. It did something far greater. It preserved the knowledge that built them.